Good afternoon, everybody. You are live with the Prodigy OG G Spice, the man in the G Spice. We got a lot of people already in the lobby. Appreciate you waiting. Sometimes it take a while to connect it to the app. We have not been on here for 2 hours. The app is always tweaking and acting up. So yeah, we got a topic today back by popular demand. First of all, I want to give a shout out to everybody that's made a great transition for me to come over here from the Haps app. I am from Periscope. TJ, the Prodigy, the pro wrestling trainer, also the entrepreneur, the combat sports analyst, and last but not least, brand enthusiast, which I'm wearing my good friend Cream shirt right here. Rav Taff, what's up? I forgot to add Rav. Well, let me add you on here, Rav, or whatever. We're going to dissect this conversation respectfully. The last one from, I believe it was Monday, was very popular. So we had to do a part 2, and I was doing my notes yesterday. We even gonna have to do a part 3 because this is such a critical topic that needs to be discussed and made sense of, so to speak. So sit back, relax. Everybody from the transgender community or people that's just really passionate about the discussion, I welcome you to give any of your feedback or opinions in the comment section. And we'll make sure we'll accommodate you as good as possible because this is an open forum. It's about understanding each other's differences and not being disrespectful. That's what it's simply about. But before we get into the show, I just want to give my condolences and my heart out to the people that lost family. It was a big a shooting at a government building. Somebody remind me what this was. Rav, where was this shooting at? Did you hear about this shooting?
Yeah. Did they try to break into the government building?
Yeah, I forgot what city it was in. Do you remember what city it was
DC. It was DC.
DC. Okay, cool. Because I remember, and I know Trump.
Building.
I know Trump is getting a lot of pushback on this, and
yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily fair. Even if you're a Trump supporter, you can't. It's not. Is there any proof that Trump sent them out there to do that?
No. Okay, so they told Trump about it ahead of time, and even when they were doing it, they told Trump about it. It was like, Trump, you need to say something to get them to stop because they're your supporters. Tweet something, announce something, and he wouldn't do it.
Right.
He was like stubborn. He wouldn't do it. And it just shows that, he doesn't care. And I know a lot of his people that was next to him actually just recently stepped away. But yeah, They broke into the federal building and
well, he was
first off, my opinion about them breaking into the
rally.
You said what?
He told him to go to the Capitol.
So, I'm sorry, hold on. Hold that thought, Rap.
Yes.
What'd you say, OG?
I said he was at the rally. He spoke at the rally. Told them to go, do the march and go to the march to the Capitol. So he sent the troops. Now,
okay.
When you the commander in chief, you're responsible for the actions of those that follow you. I was a master sergeant in the United States Air Force, and when my troops acted up, guess who was before the commander? They weren't. I was.
Right. So he got to take part of that, but at the same time, I just want to say this: any Trump supporter, anybody that's Republican that took out of context, beat to the Ryan, what's up? That took out of context.
Good,
we got the whole team on here now. Anybody that took what he said out of context, it's one thing to march to the building. It's another thing to march there and be an absolute fool, which is what these people actually obviously did. Even if he's go ahead, OG.
When you have influence, too much is given, much is required. And when people start acting a fool, you can come out and you can stop it. A tweet is not going to stop anything. At that time,
right.
Nobody is looking at their tweet. Watching. Fool, you got to get out there. These are your followers.
I don't know because a lot of even though I generally want to agree to what you just said, it's us as American people are so defiant. You know what I mean? Even if somebody go out there and you get them some orders, you can go out there, you know what I mean, and risk your life going out there. But if I honestly believe if people truly want to be destructive, it's nothing you're going to stop them from doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can agree with that too, but it's not for the most part, when you're a leader and you tell your people to do something, they're going to do it.
Okay, that's a fair enough argument. But yeah, we don't want to get too deep into that. Actually, next week I got something special about that next Tuesday. Where we go talk about politics on Tuesday. We're gonna talk specifically. We're gonna focus on Joe Biden, but now I got to add this to it. You know what I mean? Because last week we talked about Trump administration and some of the. Actually, no, it's about Trump. We ain't talking about Biden until 2 weeks from now, inauguration week. That's when we talking about Biden. But this next Tuesday we're gonna talk about Trump, and I'm gonna mention that we're gonna go into full detail about that. Or I just want to open the show, give my condolences for anybody out here or on here that lost people. I know it was a couple casualties, and we never want that to happen. Republican or Democrat, we all one group of people. You know what I mean? We're Americans at the end of the day. So I just want to do that. But let's get into the topic at hand. First of all, I'm gonna give everybody a round of applause for taking time out their busy day to be on here with us. We got OG, the original OG, my big brother, my mentor in the house. B to the Ryan, Houston, Texas on. We had Raph. He dropped him. We have some connection issues. Man, that weather in Minnesota must be you know what, man. We always losing Raph, man. But he'll get back on when he can or whatever. Raph, let me know if you're in the comment section, man. I don't know what happened, but it dropped you down to the drop section on here on my screen. So, yeah, let's get into this by popular demand topic. We're going to be as balanced and fair as possible. We're going to have the religious perspective being represented by OG here. Brian more on the conservative side. I'm more in the center. So I'm going to just be pretty much mediator and asking questions. I'll give an opinion here and there. Last but not least, I want to thank everybody. We had a hell of an episode yesterday about the Zodiacs. I hope I really help people better their relationships and strengthen their business relationships with people. That was my goal when I was doing it. It was by popular demand. At one point, we had 50 people up in here with us. So we represented on that one. OG, when you get a chance, you got to go back check that out because we showed Taurus some love yesterday on that one. You know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, let's get into the topic. I'm going to open up with OG. I just spoke with him on the phone not too long ago, and he brought up a very interesting point. Today's topic, first of all, we're gonna focus on transgender, but we got to break this up because it's so much to cover, and it's so multi-layered that episode 2 is gonna focus on the social side, how feminism affects it. Transgender versus transsexual, which I didn't even know it was that much of a difference, but apparently it is. So a transsexual, based off the terminology definition, allegedly supposed to focus on the sexual side of somebody being a transgender, where they could be a man, based off what I understand, and somebody can correct me in the comments. I got some notes here, but I'm trying to go off my memory as much as possible. But they could be a man or whatever that want to have sex with other men, but don't have to change their genetics or actually their actual biology, their genitals. They don't have to change it. So that's my understanding from the transsexual standpoint. It's more based off physical connection with the same sex or the sex of your choice. Whereas transgender is more of the psychological. Okay, I want to be called this no matter what you see me as, irrespective to science or what they label. Let's say I'm born a woman and I want to be called a man despite me not having the man phenotype, the man genetics. That's what my understanding, and this is quite confusing. And I want to
very confusing
quickly. And he told me about you said you had a client or someone at your church come in that was of the transgender community, but she took issue with a particular aspect of it. Go ahead and tell us about that again, OG.
Well, actually, I consider her a friend.
Okay.
Kind of like a mentor at work, and she takes to transgenders or men or even women who want to be the opposite sex, but they want gender assignment. I think that's the right thing. Gender assignment surgery.
Yeah.
So
they refused to get the surgery. Basically,
she was real adamant about that, especially the men, because she was a female that was lesbian, and she was the stud, so to say. There's a lot to that stuff, but I read a definition, man. This thing blew my mind.
What was that definition, if you remember?
It says transgender is independent of sexual origin, and they can self-identify as transgender, make themselves heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, pansexual, polysexual, asexual, whatever. But
it's really confusing.
I was like, wow, because think of transgender, you think that they fall in the community, but they said they consider themselves to be heterosexual.
It's really confusing.
700,000 Americans or individuals in the United States identify as transgender. 700,000 people. It's probably more.
And I like how you say identify, because identify is voluntary. So it's not like something that you can't control. It's not biology, which is involuntary. We can't control unless you're trying to do something out of the norm, like where you really take a certain type of hormone or anti-hormone where you forcefully changing your natural development, then it's really, and now we're focusing on the transgender, the actual transgender definition, the general term where a transgender person, from their perspective, they're saying, okay, I'm a transgender, call me what I want to be called. You know, and this is something Ben Shapiro, a big problem that he runs into. He's refusing to call somebody something, which I understand the argument for. He's refusing to call a transgender person. Let's say she's a female, she want to be called a he. You know, so you got to change your pronoun. You got to completely deprogram your brain from what you've been taught your whole life to call a woman, you know, somebody that has a vagina or somebody that has ovaries, something what biologically, basically a woman. So you got to call her a he because she wants to. That's where a big issue comes in. You know what I mean? Now this is where I can understand and sympathize with transgender people that really believe, which you can do whatever you want. You're an American citizen. If you want to change your, you know, get the surgery or whatever and turn yourself to whatever sex is desired, that's cool with me. But this is the problem though. And I understand the sister you was talking about when you were saying she think that if you're gonna be a transgender, you got to go all the way with it. You know what I mean? That's like, let's take us for example. Let's go outside of. Let's say I hate when people use the one drop rule. For example, this is why I'm kind of skeptical of reparations really becoming a thing based off how much African blood you have in your body. Do you know how many people of other races, specifically whites or Latinos, will out of the blue say they were black if they knew reparations was coming? If we going off that definition, we setting ourselves up for trouble. So that's the same thing with a transgender person saying that, okay, I don't have the gender reassignment surgery, but I still want you to call me a he if I'm a woman. That's just something, me personally, I don't want to have to do. That's inconvenient to my brain. You know what I mean? That's inconvenient to my thinking. You know, Brian just sent me a TED Talk thing. I'll check it out. Is it something specifically you want me to play from this, Brian? How long is the
video? It's about 20 minutes long. This is what I was watching prior to I got the notification, but this is right here. This is about the transgender studies, how it's explained, because the person that's giving the TED Talk, she is a transgender, and she was trying to get the whole definition. I was going down the rabbit hole last couple hours trying to get more info on it. So
but
yeah,
I'm glad you did your research. Yeah. Now let me ask you this. When you say she was born a woman or she transitioned to a woman?
Yeah,
because we got to be. I just want to be clear. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be sarcastic or.
Well, yeah.
Cynical.
I mean,
I want to understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but she. I mean, because of her voice, but it's really. I really can tell. I didn't bother to question, but.
What's the person's name? Because somebody who buy a computer right now. It
says like her name is like Levy or Levi.
Okay, let me hold on. Let me just look it up so we could be factual. Levy, Raph, you buy a computer, or OG, you buy a computer. What's the last name, Brian?
Hang on. It's Horde. HORD. Levy Horde.
Okay, real quick.
Levy or Levi.
LEVI or LEVY?
LEVI.
Okay. Horde.
So pretty much, it's the radical truths of transgender studies. So. What is transgender studies? Why is it important? How can it be redefine our worldview? This talk debates on the place of trans theory in both academia and activism in a moment where our society's views on gender and identity politics are rapidly shifting.
Yeah.
By demonstrating how trans lives live between conflicting conversations, transgender studies bring experience, embodiment, and knowledge to other challenge our epistemologies. Levy Horde is a gender theorist, spoken word artist, a 2018 Rhodes Scholar elect committed to radically changing the very systems through which we could define identity by combining academic engagement with community advocacy. Levy works to illuminate moments to where both theory and creativity can help move communities and discussions forward.
Okay, now let me pause you there. One thing that you said that stands out to me, you said theory. So this is not based off science. It's based off her opinion. So that's going to be a bit problematic. So she seems more towards the transgender spectrum versus the transsexual. Because nothing, and I don't know the whole video.
That's just one of 5 that I'm looking at.
So you're looking at
I'm going down the rabbit hole on this one.
Yeah, you going.
Okay. And that's
So-
been oh gee. So no, I'm really trying to understand. That laugh was just that was a good joke with OG made. But what I'm trying to understand is she seems like she sways more towards a transgender, so it's based off psychology over physical. You know what I mean? It's based on it's psychological. It's not transsexual is more physical. Whereas, you know, I would like to be as liberal with my sexual partner as possible. That's the idea from what my understanding is.
Yeah.
So
and for what I understand, like as far as like transsexual goes, that's like the crossover from a male to a female, female to a male when they do the sexual surgery. That was my understanding of transsexual.
Not necessarily.
No, that's not what it is.
But like I say, but growing up, that's how I understood it. But now,
probably at one point, honestly, you know.
Yeah, so it's a complex discussion. However, though, it's just like, you know, it's because I talked to one of my coworkers before, like when he was working with us, and like we're moving a customer and everything, but while we're on the road, we were talking about it, and he's like one openly gay, and we were talking about the whole, you know, because I kind of got lost on the titles. It's like lesbian, gay, bisexual, and then I was like trans is where I'm confused of, and then the whole Q, and I'm like, why does the Q come in?
Queer.
And yeah, I know, but I mean, but it's just like, why can't it just be like the 4? Why you got to add more and more and more? And that was my question. And
transgender is a spectrum. That's why.
And that's what he was telling me. He said, even for him as a gay man, the whole spectrum of the whole transgender and all these other like gender identities and politics and all this other stuff, it was way too confusing for him. It gave him a headache, and he was trying to explain to me the best way he could, but he said, you know what? After we get the job, we're going to get a drink because I got a headache talking about it.
Well, that's something I also wanted to focus on today that I researched that I had myself. But OG already covered it with all the different, you know, the different subtitles of transgender and all. He went over that. You know, we'll go into more detail of it. But real quick, I want to bring Raph up in there because Raph,
what's up, man?
What's up, man? So growing up, Raph, were you confused or were you able to thoroughly understand the definition of transgender versus transsexual?
I didn't even know what that was as a kid.
Neither one of them?
You talking about transgender and what?
Versus transsexual. Did you know the difference growing up?
I didn't know what none of those was when I was a kid.
Not a kid, but, you know, a young adult, like 21, 25, around that age.
You know what?
I would hope no kid would know what any of it means.
Even today, I don't understand that stuff. I always thought they were the same thing. Always thought, you know, it was a man or a woman that wants to exchange to a different identity.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, that's what I've always thought.
And if it's anybody in the comment section that's identify as gay or queer that don't agree with the labeling of them or the being categorized and grouped with the transgender people, I mean, that's what this conversation is about. It's an open forum. So we trying to understand y'all perspective. We're 4 heterosexual men, right? All of y'all heterosexual, right? Don't let me speak for everybody.
I seen, first off,
I know OG is.
The first trans I ever seen in my life, I had to be about.
You got to do a what? Speak loud and TF. What'd you say?
The first trans I ever seen in my life, I had to be about 19.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like a pretty, because we're in college around that time and stuff. Yeah.
And she worked at a movie theater. And I always go there to get my movie tickets. Mm-hmm. And then she ended up, and then when I started working at the baseball stadium, I started to see more. And I'm like, okay, to me, it was strange. It wasn't a disrespectful way. It was strange because I never seen anything like that. But yeah.
Now, Raph, I'm just trying to understand something because all y'all on here are older than me. So when you're about 31, right, Raph? 31, somewhere around there?
32. I'm 32.
32. So you were 19 about 12 years ago, something like that, right? Give or take 12, 13 years ago. So that was 2011. Now, there's something interesting that you said about that. That's where in 2011, I was about, how old was I in 2011? I was about 20. So the thing with that is, it seemed to be a lot more normalized. I would say the 2010s was the decade where transgender made their most strides. That's when it started to become normalized.
Yes.
That's when I would start to see it a lot. Like you said, I would see them, all these public places somewhere. If I'm at the mall or something like that, they'll be at some shop. They'll be the clerk or something.
That was when people were starting to come out.
Yeah, exactly. It was starting to become. That's when it was kind of fused into our politics. Which I'm not saying one or the other is problematic. Doesn't matter to me. But I'm saying that's when they really started to make leaps and bounds and become a thing. Now, Brian, I'm gonna bring you back in. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me pass to OG because he ain't talked in a while. But OG, by you being Christian, growing up in you grew up in Virginia, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Virginia.
Now, was your city conservative? The city you grew up in? Was it kind of conservative?
It is considered part of the Bible Belt, but
yeah, which I would imagine is conservative. It's the Bible Belt.
It's conservative, but it's now a little more liberal. So, but growing up, we lumped them all in one bucket.
What word did y'all use for them? Was it gay or what?
Nah, we ain't use gay. I don't want to use the words.
It start with F.
F, P, Q, because you couldn't say queer back in the day. Now they embrace it, but
was that considered offensive? Queer?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just became non-offensive just a few years ago.
Right.
Because it used to just be LGBT. Then they added the Q a few years ago. Now they got the I and the A and all that.
Wait. What the I stand for?
Oh man,
it's like, oh man, yeah. That's what I said. This is like a long rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then
a deep rabbit hole.
What is is A androgynous or something like that?
I'm gonna look up the definition.
Okay, because I saw something for the first time I heard the word androgynous, because that is part of their lexicon. The word transgender. I'm sorry. Androgynous is part of the transgender vocabulary and lexicon. Apparently I came across it. Do us as wrestling fans? Do y'all remember the first time we heard the word androgynous?
Nope.
Remember when Goldust debuted in '95?
Yeah.
They kept using the word androgynous. That was the first time I heard it. I think androgynous is a scientific word for a transsexual or a cross-dresser.
Wrestling.
Go ahead.
For a lot of stuff.
Pablo. I'm sorry.
Intersex. Okay, I for intersex.
The I stands for intersex. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hello, hey Biggie Smalls, how you doing? Welcome back. Top commenter. What's up? Intersex is what it means. So does that mean? Who got the definition up? Is that you, Raph?
I'm pulling.
I'm sorry, not Raph. I don't know why. Probably because y'all Tauruses. I always mix y'all up. I meant to say OG. Yeah.
I thought I had it up, but it took me to something else, man. Like,
hold on. I'll bring it up quick.
Yeah, Brian can bring it up on his phone.
Mm-hmm. Brian on the computer, I think.
Yeah, I'm on a computer.
All
right. So what am I looking up?
I found it already. People are intersex. People are individuals born with any of several variations of sexual characteristics, including chromosome, gonads, sex hormones, or genitals that, according to Office of United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, do not fit the typical definition of a male or female. Okay. That's along the lines of almost saying androgynous almost.
Now something else too.
What's that?
The Q is for queer or questioning.
So why are you gonna just make it as curious?
Yeah. Well, then it'll be C.
Yeah. Okay. See that's what I mean. It's like trying to understand it. It's very, very complex, and you have all these subclauses.
Yeah. Real quick, androgynous, partly male and partly female in appearance, or indeterminate sex. Okay, so a lot of this stuff just sound like synonyms along the same line. Like intersex sounds similar to androgyny. A lot of it sounds just kind of technical and stuff, like technicality and stuff like that. But it's quite complex, and I think that's a big issue for the LGBT community for them to come over. I think a lot of them need to. Oh my God, is it PKs up in there? According to Pablo. You see all these letters, man. I'm getting cockeyed looking at these letters, man.
Yeah, see, that's getting a little bit too more. Wow,
that's a lot, man. They're gonna have the whole alphabet up in there in a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'm just trying to simplify it as best as I can. That way, I'm not having myself a headache.
It's 9 letters. It started off as 4. They added 5 additional letters. Based on, I think my count's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9. They added 4 additional letters in this. This is crazy, man.
Plus, instead of the P, they put a plus after the A, and that covers everything else.
So what the P and the Q stand for then?
The P stands for
Oh,
they're
LGBT plus.
okay. That's what Raph. Okay, because I ain't that. Okay, I'm learning something. I didn't even know.
Pablo.
Here we go.
And Biggie Small just added in dry. I appreciate you. Thank you. This is probably going. I said 3 episodes. We probably gonna be talking about this probably the rest of January in some form or another because it's just so much to cover. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, just me having a hard time just with the trans itself because like everybody's talking about like they're transgender neutral or gender fluid, and this is where I'm just kind of like, all right. So I tried going down the rabbit hole on this one, and man, I'm still stuck.
Called it all gay. Just one. I grew up way before you guys, so
right.
We just say that person gay.
Right.
Just one.
Yeah.
And another thing, a lot of us don't focus on. In addition, what OG said, 3 of the 4 of us are of the same racial group. Brian is a minority, but he's from a different race group, and I'm saying that to say this: him growing up, he probably saw trans or gay in a completely different vein as us because growing up black, like we did, me, Raph, OG, all us growing up black, it was kind of shunned. We were very church people. I don't know. I'm guessing, Brian, are you Catholic? Were you Catholic at one point?
Nah. I grew up in a Baptist church.
Okay, you like us? We're Baptist.
Yeah. I grew up in a Baptist church, and growing up back then in the '80s, I mean, it was at that time. It was either you were like. I never knew what a lesbian was until like I was 9. But growing up, it was like if you like male or female, like gay couples, lesbian couples. But back then, growing up, I just knew them as gay because like when women came out as lesbian, they didn't call themselves lesbian. They're like, oh yeah, I'm a gay girl.
Yeah.
And then there's I'm a gay guy. So it's like, okay, they're gay. And that's how I grew up. That's back in the '80s, guys. So different time period on how to identify stuff, but I never did think that was weird because when you read in school, like back in the Roman days, they had like bisexual orgies, so it was just kind of like, all right, whatever. Yeah. That's how I took it as.
And see, to me, I can't speak for Raph and OG, but to me, that's where the disconnect comes a lot of the times because by me growing up African and African American, I'm both technically, but that just wasn't really normalized in our culture. I'm sure you had people in what they quote unquote in the closet. I don't know if that's politically correct to say anymore, but
it's
you had
weird.
People that were like in the closet or kind of not as out front about it in our community. We had gay people, but and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but this is just the way it was when I was growing up. And I can't speak for Raph and OG; they got to speak for themselves, but. When you were gay or transgender or any of those kind of queer, any of that, like even if you're a dude and you couldn't wear certain colors when I was growing up. Like why you got that gay shirt on? It'll be like a pink shirt or you look gay or a certain fashion. Your jeans couldn't be too fitted to your legs or wearing certain earrings that weren't hoops. You look it was all these different things growing up. And to me, I always connected to. It seems to me that gender differences and LGBT plus and all that was it was a lot more normalized in European culture versus African culture because based on my understanding, the way I was raised in my understanding of African culture, it wasn't that normalized in Africa. It's more of a European thing. Like the Greco-Romans wore skirts all the time with no underwear under there. And to them, sodomizing victims, I read about this in different Greek and Roman pathology and all that type of stuff, where they would after they would defeat you in war, they would turn you over and sodomize you. To them, that was like dominating you type. And I'm thinking like, why? So you just had sex with another man to prove what? You know what I mean? Like, but everybody's culture's different. I don't know if Brian, you dealt with the same. Go ahead, OG.
Well, they did that in labor times. They called it breaking the buck. They were the most dominant. They were raping in front of him.
Yeah, I've heard about breaking the buck.
They lose all respect. He was seen as weak. So that's how they for warfare. So there's like since this happened to him, they dominate and they can do anything to us. That's why we, because this is what's gonna end up happening to the next male or the woman because they did it right in front of the family. Nobody could do anything about it.
Right, but it was more of a humiliation tactic when they. Well, I guess both ways. Yeah, go ahead, Raph.
It's about power.
Yeah,
It's simply power. I got a question.
go ahead, OG.
Raph, what do you be doing? You always walking.
You like you getting some exercise.
Nah, I'm just walking around my house. That's me, man.
His brain is always active, man. Like he literally.
Yeah, he's like all over the place. Yeah, I mean,
I just gotta move around. That's just me. I gotta move around. If I don't move around,
yeah.
I just lose it.
I hear you.
but
Long as it ain't making no noise and I don't mind. You know what I mean? Long as it ain't disruptive and it don't bother me at all. You know, that's why I don't never say nothing to you. I see it, I just don't say anything. Yeah. Long as my concern is distracting background noise. I don't care if you move and all of that. Long as the people don't start complaining, it's never an issue. You can eat, but as long as you're not, it ain't disrupting your sound or your voice, I don't care. But yeah. So Raph, growing up in Minnesota, was it really similar family? What they call it, bread? No, not bread, but rearing. What did you have similar family rearing growing up? Where being black in Minnesota, which I don't know what any of that means, it's a Republican state. I wouldn't want to be black up there, but your parents had all these different rules and do's and don'ts about, oh, you can't wear this color shirt or your pants can't be this tight or all that. Was that something that was prevalent growing up with a lot of your family members?
No, I didn't have that issue, but it was really racial. Like it's still racial up here in Minnesota, but it was never where like my mom was like, "Oh, you shouldn't dress this way, you shouldn't wear this, or you shouldn't talk this way."
What about the males in your family?
Yeah, I don't know anybody in my family that went through that.
Okay. No, I mean, did you have like uncles or big cousins or your dad or anybody say, "Oh no, this is how a man dress" or something like that?
No. Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up. Honestly, I was raised by a bunch of women. I was raised by my mom.
And you're heterosexual, right?
Yeah, I was raised by my mom, my auntie, and my grandma. So
I gotta ask. I don't assume if somebody's not gay.
No. Most people that's raised by women like that usually are, come out
effeminate or something like that.
Yeah, but surprisingly, I didn't. But yeah, I was raised by women. I didn't have too many men in my life.
Which I feel like all black people, 70% of us, 75% were raised by women anyway. That's because that's just the way our culture is in the United States. But Brian, I'm gonna pass to you now. What about same questions I asked Raph and OG? Was it like growing up? Because you're two different people like me. I'm African and African American, but you're Thai and Irish, so you got two different cultures. You have to hear.
So really though, as far as like, I mainly, like, most of my friends growing up, like, I'd be friends with a lot of Hispanics, but most of my friends were all like, just like me, being biracial, where they're like black and white or white Hispanic, Hispanic black, black Asian. So we, like, growing up, like, they didn't, like, people would always tease us like, oh yeah, your parents are, like, all kinds of weird shit. So pretty much it's like we stuck together because it's like we're all biracial.
Yeah,
we're all biracial and everything, so that we just kind of hung in together, and then just that right there, like how we accepted one another because of our different nationalities, and how everybody else treated us on the outside, that anybody else that lived a different alternative lifestyle, we were fine with that. And I remember one of my cousins on my Asian side, like, there was like a neighborhood where all like Cambodians, Chinese, Vietnamese, just a little neighborhood where all the Asians grew up in. I didn't know this till later, and it's kind of taboo, and it still goes on right now, that like in the Polynesian culture, and they like in the Samoan culture, if there's like a family of sons, apparently one of the sons would get selected and would have to play the female, and they call it a papafini, I think it's called.
What?
A papafini, where they're a male, but then they have to pretty much take on the role as a woman. It's like that. It's like that in the Polynesian culture. Like I never heard of
it's interesting that you say that, because I have a completely different perspective of what I read about Polynesian culture, but I'll get into that. I want to hear more.
But like in the neighborhood, where my cousins like grew up, there was a Cambodian dude, but he always perceived himself as a woman.
So
but
he's transgender then. He identifies as transgender.
yeah, he always wore makeup, always wore like the women clothes and everything, acted very feminine and all this other stuff. And I like that. I think my mom said, oh yeah, that's a katoy. And I'm like, a what? And she's like, that's a man that wants to dress as a woman.
So is a katoy is that the Thai word for transgender or something?
It was like a Cambodian Thai word. I don't remember. I mean, I was 9.
Right.
So yeah, so that was like my first exposure to that. But the thing was, like, it didn't bother me, but it was just kind of, but at the time, like, as a kid, you're like, if you're a guy, why would we want to be like, it's kind of like boys versus girls kind of mentality. Yeah. But after a while, I mean, it was all right. I mean, we just got used to it, so it don't bother me.
I want you to rewind back to the Polynesian thing. Was it a reason for them to, like, is it like, okay, we didn't have enough women to?
It's weird. I was watching. Let's see, it was like years ago. HBO did a documentary of Taboo. Like, they have this series called Taboo, and pretty much that was on one of the series where it was like that, like in some Polynesian cultures, like where in India, one time out of the year in India, I forgot what the name is called, but where all the men can dress up as women in India for a day.
Okay.
For a day. So yeah, it was an interesting documentary. I mean, just look it up. HBO Taboo, and just
maybe we could put some clips on the next episode we do on this. We could play.
Yeah, so apparently it's a cultural thing as well. So, but what sucks though is, like, being in America, we're like way behind the times, when down in South America, people don't care what lifestyle you live. In Europe, they don't care. It's just Canada. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're open-minded as well, but like, it's just for us in America, it's just like we're
you really
like,
say we're behind on the times though? I wouldn't say we are.
I think we are. I think we are behind the times as far as like cultural deal, because everything's a conflict with with religion, most of the time. But other than that, like, everywhere else, like, nobody cares. They're just like, all right, cool, whatever.
I mean, as it relates to transgender, though, I would say,
yeah, no. I mean, no, I think because it's becoming more and more popular. It's getting more traction. Mm-hmm. But like, versus if you go to other countries and people that want to live a transgender lifestyle, everybody's already accepted it. They're not making a big fuss about it. Versus here in the States, it's now that it's getting traction, so now that's where it's like the conflict of interest.
Okay, that's an interesting take. What's that, OG?
I said I was in Japan and Korea, and you didn't see a lot of like transgenderism, anything like that.
You said you didn't see any of it. You cut out right when you said that. Okay.
No. Yeah. I mean, like with Korea and everything. I mean, I think like they're still straight by the book, but I mean, like in Thailand, that's the country where my mom is from. And right now, Thailand's like known for having transsexual surgeries down there. People go there to get the surgeries done.
Interesting. I didn't even know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so I think it's a couple different things at play that we need to unpack here. So, but before I get into that, I want to briefly say this about Polynesian culture. The Rock, the Samoans, The Rock, Roman Reigns, the Usos, they're all Polynesian. So, what's that, OG?
Nia Jax.
Yeah, you just got to put Nia up in there. He loved Nia Jax, but yeah, Nia.
See, there you go.
It's their culture.
Big sexy baby.
Now he want to
That's what he knows.
He about to talk about a Japanese woman or something.
He's all about that.
Let's not get
Tempur-Pedic loving.
Are you about to
pillows?
Transition or something? I see you undressing. What the hell you doing, Brian? You taking off clothes and
it's hot.
Oh, okay.
It's hot in my room.
I just got to ask. You know what I mean? Let us know what's up. What is this, your coming out party or something or what? No, I'm totally joking.
Coming out drinking.
Hey, I'm sure you're going to say something before the end of the show that's a party foul. Hey, OG, you missed it. He had so many party fouls the last 2 episodes just from saying crazy stuff. I mean, I make him take shots.
Apparently, I'm not allowed to say Sasha Banks. I'm not allowed to say somebody else on here, or that I'm a fan of Triple H.
No, that you gonna have to drink the whole bottle if you say that. You know what I mean?
I am a fan of Triple H.
And you can't say golden vanilla or whatever that bullshit.
Oh, golden delicious.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a party foul. We
should have beautiful, luscious
TJ.
Let's not get too off topic because the people came here for the discussion. But
Yeah.
So in Polynesian culture, according to Rocky Johnson, one of his last interviews he did before he passed, he said that in the Samoan culture, everything goes through the male or whatever. Like even like The Rock, he has 2 or 3 daughters. So by him being the last official king or whatever of that particular, he's the current Samoan chief. Roman Reigns saying that, I think that's just storyline. I don't think he's been officially turned into the chief quite yet, but it's The Rock. As far last I heard, it's The Rock. So by him having daughters, even if he died, the money that he's accumulated up to that point will stay in the escrow account until you have a son. So that's how the Samoan culture is shut up when it comes to everything goes through the chief. Women don't have so much say so. Now I'm not saying if that's right, wrong, or not, but that's just the way their culture is. So that's why when Brian said that was really interesting. You know, and it is this theory that men keep having babies because they want a son. Like if you got 2 daughters back to back, that you have another one and you have a daughter, it's because you keep having kids because you want a son. That's what the stereotype is with a lot of these types of
stuff. Like that, man. I say most cultures in the eastern side of the world is that just
very patriotic based.
Patriotic dominate.
Yeah. Whereas the United States is evolved, turning into more of a matriarch. Even out like we're used to us, and I think this is why black people are so open to the transgender, because we're used to our culture been run by women since we've been over here. You know what I mean? I don't think African American culture has been patriotic since a lot of us left Africa. I don't think
Here.
That was a long ass time ago. It's over 300 years ago. So
here, I found it.
We never knew it in America. That was by design.
Well, yeah,
you know. If you just,
how you doing, Tawan? St. Patrick in the house with us. What's up, Tawan? Mm-hmm. Great.
All the way from New York.
TJ, I want to elaborate on something.
Go ahead. Try to speak loud, OG. Your voice a little. You got that commanded military South voice. Speak more loud up into the thing for me, man.
I want to elaborate on something. Growing up, we did have those stigmas and those taboos because, especially with earrings.
Yep.
If you were a man, you wore your earring in your left ear and you only wore one.
Right.
You wore one in the right ear, that would mean we used to do this. And if you wore one in both, if you were in both ears, you was definitely. So when George Michael first came out, that guy's gay. He got earrings in both ears, even though he was gay. But, he got earrings in both. That was like a given. Yeah. And so they got stuff down, tattoos and stuff.
Wait, you put out, you said George Michael was gay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was gay. I don't know much about, I've heard the name, but I don't know about George Michaels.
Yeah. That was like the early 90s where the guy wore the one stud, right? Early 90s. Yeah, that's when it started becoming a trend.
Well, you got to keep in mind, Michael Jordan was one of the first people to wear hoops in the NBA. You know what I mean? He normalized wearing hooped earrings and things like that. And then all my uncles and stuff, because we always keep up whatever the trends are and whatever we view at that time as masculine. So a lot of black guys start getting the bald head, the earring, because Jordan had it. You know what I mean?
Already had it.
Right. You was rocking the bald head already.
Look, I went bald at 20, man.
Okay. By choice or involuntarily?
If Jordan was going bald, I was going bald. No,
okay.
It's by grandfather.
Your genes, your genetics.
Yeah.
No. Speaking of which, let's get into some genetic argument briefly, and we're gonna do a whole episode. So I'm just gonna gloss over on this particular episode because it's a lot more loose ends I need to tie before we officially go on air. Talk about that's going to be the focus of the third episode, the nature versus nurture argument or whatever. But just briefly go over it. This is where a lot of the issues I think we run into with the transgenders run into with the whole genetics thing. The two people to coin the word transgender and transsexual were like English psychologists. So they always based it off psychological disorders when they would do it. Oh, this person has, this particular psychological disorder. This person has that. Matter of fact, let me bring up the person's name that did it real quick. Where's this guy at here? His name was... He coined the term transsexual. Where is he at here? I had him up yesterday too. Origin and use. Here we go. Okay, so it was a guy named Norman Hare in 1921. Dora R. of Germany began a surgical transition under the care of Magnus Hirschfeld, which ended in 1930 with a successful general reassignment surgery. In 1930, Hirschfeld supervised the second genital reassignment surgery to be reported in detail in a peer-reviewed journal, that of Lily Elbe of Denmark. In 1923, Hirschfeld introduced the German term transsexualismus, after which David Oliver Caldwell introduced transsexualism and transsexual in English in 1949, 1950. So the word really wasn't recognized in the English definition until like the 50s. Let's take in context of a lot of things that was going on, because I believe in addition to, it's a lot of things that play when we talk about transsexualism. It's the idea of the psychological, which is transgender, the physiological, which is transsexual, and then you have to account the feminist aspect of it. So when you look at overall what was going on in between Europe and the United States in the 40s and 50s, you had a lot of different movements going on. This was the early era of the women's lib movement with the bra burners. It didn't really take full effect to the 60s, but they were starting to get the ball rolling around this time. Also, you had a lot of civil rights stuff going on, and I think a lot of this stuff is also connected. And this is something that a lot of people forget to mention. So it's interesting that this word really became common in the English sociology and lexicon around the 40s, because there was a lot of things that play going on at that time. So with that said, I'm gonna go around the horn and ask everybody, because a lot of our parents was probably born. Well, they weren't born. Grandparents were like teens around that time and stuff like that. So this probably trickled down to a lot of our individual households and things like that. But thinking back on our grandparents' perspectives on transgender and transvestism and all that, they will probably call this weird or call it, against religion and all that type of stuff. Now I'm gonna pass to OG, because OG is the more religious person out of all of us here, as far as I know. I don't know if anybody else is, but OG is. So OG, were you raised by your grandparents?
I was raised by the village.
The village. Everybody raised you. I should say, were you old enough to really see your grandparents alive, or did they die when you were like too young?
Yeah. I was old enough to see them alive. As a matter of fact, my parents was born, in the 40s, right?
1940.
Born in,
wow.
My grandfather was born in late 1800s, early 1900s.
For real?
Yeah.
Man, he was almost 100 when he died then, right? When he got like early 100?
In the late night, he was born in the early 1900s, because when he died, he was like 83, but he died when my grandfather died. It's been a while. He died probably like 20 years ago, so yeah. Okay.
So was he a factor in, okay, growing up, all this was going on, but we still don't normalize this in our house and all it? Was it any type of those type of conversations with your grandparents about sex?
Nah, we ain't talk about that. We just knew that this is not acceptable. So,
right,
we don't do that. Plain and simple. That was from grandfather, grandmother, mother, aunt. I had an aunt that was really like, nah, you don't act like that.
What about having family members that dated other people that was probably, transgender or bi-curious or bisexual, any of these, were androgynous, any of that? Were you allowed to bring any of that into the house?
Nah, we ain't had none of that.
Okay.
If they thought you was, you weren't gonna bring them to the house.
Right.
Yeah. None of that.
Okay. Now, with you being in the service, when you served in the middle, you was in the military, what, in the late 90s, early 2000s, when did you serve?
I served from 87 to 2011.
Wow, you was in that for a while. So let's say towards the tail end, let's say around 2009, 2010, were you starting to see any of the transgender with the reassignment surgery, like they went to the opposite sex? Did you see any of that towards the end of your run, or at any point of your run in the military?
It wasn't until really after, till when Obama made it, the military. So that was like 2010. I was getting out, but I remember going back. And I went to the hospital one time, And I mean, like all the male nurses was switching, and it was like, yeah. No, I ain't never seen nothing like this. So I would go into a section because I worked when I got out the military. I ended up working back on the base for a little while. I remember going to the supply section, and I go in there. I was turning around. They was talking all. I was like, "What is this?" You know, I'm like.
So it was kind of a culture shock for you.
It was a culture shock, and a lot of people either retired or got out because of that. Because it was
really for that particular reason.
For that particular reason.
Wow, I didn't think it was that deep. You know what I mean? I didn't think so. Brian probably right that these other places are far more advanced, you know, than we are. If it's something like that, man. Now, Brian, I'm actually saying because Brian, you the second oldest in the room here. So I'm gonna go to you.
Not.
Well, yeah. Well, Africa's starting. No, a lot to start. They starting to do it now. You starting to see it a little bit now in certain parts of Nigeria and Ghana, more advanced places. You starting to see it a little bit. The more old school places, probably like Zimbabwe and stuff like that. The old parts, you probably ain't gonna see it down there because they kind of they mindsets a little. South Africa and all that. They got not South Africa the country, but I think the city of South Africa. They think is a little it's different or whatever. They
more like Americans.
Yeah, they do. Well, South Africa, the country thinks like America because they got similar British imposing things and all that type of habit. They were like a lot of them were influenced by British culture, but. Brian, I'm gonna pass to you being second senior in the room. Growing up, because how old are you, Brian? Are you 40 yet?
I'm 40.
Are you 40 for real? Man,
yeah,
dude, I didn't think you. I knew you were close. I thought you were like 37. 38.
Yeah, I turned 40 at the beginning of December.
You hear OG calling you old?
Oh,
hey, and he's the oldest in the room. He calling you old.
I'm old with less miles. So I don't know. I mean,
Same question I asked OG.
All right.
No, so you grew up Baptist as well, right?
Yeah, I grew up as Baptist. But pretty much, like I said, it's like a lot of the stuff really doesn't affect me because I mean, it's just like, all right, whatever. I mean, I look at it as all right, whatever.
Right. No, as far as your parents, like, did they say, oh, this is not acceptable in the home, or you can't bring these type of people home, or your grandparents for that matter? Did you see?
Well, I never met my grandparents, but as far as like growing up, it was just pointed out to me, but you know, I don't ever recall my mom saying anything negative. She just points it out what it is. But my dad, on the other hand, my dad's old school. My dad's an Air Force veteran, so like his way of mind was like, that's bad, you know, because it's supposed to be man and woman. My dad still, you know, he's a little open minded now that he's older and he's like in his 70s right now. But growing up though, my dad was like very just that, you know, traditional old school value. Yeah, because my dad's from Missouri, so.
Oh well, yeah, that tells you a lot.
So my dad's from Missouri, like on the northern northwest part of Missouri. So, but yeah, so. Yeah, so they're very like in their zone beliefs. So he's a little open-minded now, but the one thing he's finally accepted was like interracial dating because of like how like my dad's very against my sister like dating black guys, but I told my dad, I said, how is it back then when you married mom?
Right. That sounds kind of hypocritical, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's when it you know, but like I said, like his frame of logic, you know, so that's why I try to break him in. It's like, you know, I told him, it's like the way the world is going, the way the world is changing, it's either you adapt or perish.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So pretty much it's like, you know, it's just like suck it up, buttercup, just nod your head, you know, even though if you disagree with it or whatever, but just nod your head, be like, treat him like a normal person. And then I was like, the more you treat him like a normal person, then fine, no big deal. You know, it's like it won't like weigh in, and you won't feel guilty or whatever your mental thought would be. But yeah, so my dad now, I mean, now that he's like 75 now, so he's just like, yeah, you know, the world, blah 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 blah, and so he's getting with it. Now that he has more time on his hands, so I told him, like,
just because people usually become more closed-minded as they age. Your dad did the opposite. You know what I mean? That's interesting.
because I mean I had to really break it. Like my sister would try, but my sister would get frustrated at the same time. But my sister, like, her approach is like shitty. I said you got
you talked about salesmanship yesterday. It's about how you
yeah,
sell.
you got yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like the way she comes off, it's like he's not buying it. So,
Right.
but then when I come out, then he's like, well, yeah, I don't agree with it, but I mean, it is what it is. And I'm like, yeah, of course, it is what it is.
Right. I just want to add something here. That's a big hang up that I have when it comes down to the gender. I'm sorry, the same sex marriage. That right there, I'm still battling with. You know what I mean? To me, marriage is something sacred between a man and a woman because I believe in the natural way of giving birth. Because my main fear is the complications that come with trying to create a baby out of unnatural ways. You know, I'm thinking of deformity. I'm thinking of, you know, that's what I'm thinking of. It's not about hate. I'm just thinking about what could happen, what could go wrong from messing with nature. You know what I mean? It's one thing for you to want to be in love with a person like that, but having babies, that's and getting married, that's, you know, it's getting a little complicated for me there.
Well, that was like the topic. I was talking with some people years ago about it, and the topic of discussion was, would I be okay with gay couples adopting? And my response was, that's fine. I have no problem with it. But when it comes to, I was like, hopefully they do a good job raising a child. But when it comes to like their sexual preference, let the child decide. Don't enforce. You could be encouraging, but don't get to the point where you're force feeding it down their throat.
Yeah,
let them decide.
Right.
So that was my take on it, and then they thought I'd be outraged, but I'm like, no, I mean, because it's like I'm accepting the fact that, like, the way the world is now, and it's constantly evolving. It's like, you know, you gotta just talk it out. As long as, you know, you could talk it out and have like a meet somewhere in the middle, I'm all for it. You know, I know, like, with some other people.
Harley, how you doing from Barnstable Town? I'm not sure what Barnstable Town is, but you know what that's at, Brian? Where's Barnstable Town at?
I have no idea.
In Barnstable.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe you can elaborate on where that is. I don't know what that's at.
Yeah.
What was that, OG? Did you say something?
Welcome.
My camera is.
Yeah. Welcome.
But
yeah, I mean, that's an interesting take.
Yeah. So I mean,
I like
so,
you know, and I agree with when you explain it that way. When you say more of a, don't try to force it. I don't mind them adopting and all that, but don't try to like influence their. Massachusetts is nice.
Oh, okay.
So don't try to influence their decision. And this is, to me, to be fair, this is the exact same thing for people that are heterosexual. I don't like when heterosexual people try to, you know, overly force, you know, you're gonna be super masculine, you know, don't play with dolls and all. No, fuck all that. Like, let them experience. First of all, I'm a believer that even if a boy is, I lean more towards, you know, them picking the gender that they're born. I ain't gonna lie, I lean that way. But this is the thing that I dislike that a lot of male parents tend to do. They'll sit there and put these ideas in their head that I don't want you ever interacting with any of this stuff that's associated with girls. Oh, you don't cook. You don't do that. First of all, when you're trying to make a balanced male, he gotta understand the feminine and the masculine. Now, it shouldn't get exaggerated in one side over the other. He shouldn't be overly masculine or overly feminine. It should be balanced across the line. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, when a boy plays with a doll, in addition to having boy toys too, of course you're gonna have action figures and all that stuff too. But when you give him a doll, he understands, I believe, how to properly treat a woman right. You know, this is how you treat a woman. You respect her. Of course, she respects you as well. So I'm also against when men overly masculine like they're men and make them insensitive. I'm totally against that. It's about balance. That's why it's negative and positive. It's dichotomies to everything.
Oh, gee, I mean? Something to say.
What's that? You waving?
No, I'm trying to say something.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You could just talk, and I would stop if you talk. Go ahead. I'm gonna answer this question anyway while you're doing it. I am by set up. Go ahead.
I grew up with the Hank Hill philosophy. Doggone it, Bobby. Boys don't play with dolls. But Dad, it's an action figure. So that way, boys
you from
don't
Texas.
play with dolls. And
yep, G.I. Joe.
give you a story. My grandson was playing with some dogs, and I said, "Boy, put them dogs up. Boy, play with
Right
dogs."
after this, Brad, we'll bring you back in.
From
Go
what
ahead.
I been taught, but my oldest daughter, she's into what you call it, early childhood education. She's been in that field for years, and she said, "Well, Dad, it helps him socially, and it helps him become a man and a nurturing father if he plays with that doll because he's not." When we played with dolls, when I was growing up, we ripped heads off and ripped the arms and stuff off, and we did all that. But and then
Man,
boys weren't. We were told that boys weren't supposed to play with dolls anyway because they end up becoming gay. So
I
that's
was raised the same way as well, actually. Yeah.
and that's
Not that
complete.
I bought
That's
into it, but I was raised the same way.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like I grew up with GI Joes, and I just used GI Joes like for like war, and then
Yeah,
other than that, like later down the line, I used the GI Joes for wrestling.
yeah, we
Right.
did too because that wasn't a doll. That was a GI Joe.
Yeah.
But
So
some people, hold on. But some people also call dolls male toys. I've heard like people say, "Oh, I'm gonna sell a doll," but they don't put a gender to a doll. A doll to them is just a toy. To some people,
To some,
yeah.
but me growing up, see, I grew up like a different time. But my daughter, who is, she told me she was like, "Well, Dad, it's gonna help psychologically, and it's gonna help."
You tell them not to.
Yeah, listen,
Tell them not.
that's an interesting take, Chris. I really appreciate that feedback. That's something we all can learn from. Exactly what you said. Now, Rav, let's bring Rav back to the conversation. He's been dormant for a while. Monday night.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So growing up, were you social? I know you said you weren't really because you being raised by a lot of women, they didn't really over socialize you really like that. But were you allowed to have, or did you even have any inclination to play with dolls?
No, I was told. I was told.
I think you have a connection problem. That Minnesota weather up there is got visage apparently. But I appreciate a lot of the feedback. Is a lot more talkative in the comment section today, and the feedback is definitely needed because we're really honestly trying to understand a lot of the transgender thing. I mean, we hit over the head with a lot of the terminology and a lot of technicalities and all that. We trying to, because at the end of the day, it's about everybody's voice meaning something, and it really hurts me, and it breaks my heart to see all these people acting crazy at the office in DC when you're okay. What happened to doing stuff the diplomatic way? What happened to doing stuff where if you don't like somebody, you vote them out? You don't got to shoot them. You don't got to. That's not necessary. By us being the top country in the world, we supposed to lead by example. How do we have a top military, the most technologically advanced, and we can't sit here and figure out these very base level problems? It's embarrassing, honestly, and all of us need to look in the mirror. We need to be ashamed about it. It's really embarrassing.
Yeah, they don't
It
want
is.
to.
Yeah, I put like at the events of yesterday, like I'm embarrassed to be an American right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all caught this, but Foley was talking about he tweeted Vince yesterday, Mick Foley, and said, take this fool Trump out of the Hall of Fame. He literally said that on Twitter.
Yeah,
Now
I
that's
saw that.
all for Foley to say some shit like that. You know what I mean? I don't think he realized how powerful Donald Trump and Vince McMahon is. You know what I mean? If that's Vince's boy, you know what I mean? OG said my daughter said black men aren't good fathers because they weren't allowed to play with dolls. I don't know about all that, but you know what I mean?
let
It's
me
definitely
didn't
It's
let me.
speculation.
Now, it ain't speculation. It's like it's in that career field, and that is a good analogy of what she was saying because when we tell them not to play with dolls, they're not getting that interaction with a
Oh,
child.
you mean that way? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with it when you explain it like that. Raph, we lost you for a minute. Come on, Raph, come back in there.
Yeah, my
With
phone
the
overheated.
did you hear the question?
My bad. So what was the question again? Hit me with the
You
question.
had to get
man.
you a fan. The question
So
is, were growing up, were you told to not have all these? Oh, don't do this, and women do that. Don't be in the kitchen, a
yeah.
woman do that.
So I did
Yeah.
have that. And actually, we were told right away. We got a lot of toys as a kid. I used to hang out with my cousins all the time. We got a lot of toys from Power Rangers and GI Joes, and we had the Trolls. We had everything. But we were told when our female cousins played with the dolls, we weren't even allowed to touch the dolls because same thing OG said or
Right.
Brian said. If
Yeah.
you play with dolls, you will become funny or
Right.
you will become queer. and we always laughed at that and said, "Oh, we're not going to play with dolls." And if we seen another boy play with dolls, we'll probably laugh at him because we were always taught that was wrong. Like you're
Right.
not supposed to play with dolls if you're a boy.
Yeah.
And but that's the same time. That's why they see. Here's what people don't understand. Just like they make boy clothes and women clothes, there's a reason for that. Just like they make boy toys and women toys.
Right.
Women, little girls are girls. They're into different things than boys. So boys aren't supposed to play with girls' toys, and that's how I always looked at it. And girls aren't supposed to play with boy toys.
Mm-hmm. Right. You know, to me, that's kind of toxic socializing. And I honestly think that in addition to drugs is why we have all this. Because it's crazy, especially with me having a degree in psychology. All this youth that are going crazy from all these drugs and going out doing all this irrational stuff, shooting up places and breaking into things and, you know, beating people up if they just.
Yeah.
Us as a country, we have a hell of a task to do in 2021 by bringing, you know, this equilibrium back and bringing things back into sync and having conversations with people. You don't have to agree with them, but I mean, let's have a conversation about it, which could prevent something completely stupid, like breaking into some, shooting someplace up and all that. We understand everybody in pain, everybody's hurt because of the pandemic and a lot of various reasons. People feel like they're not being heard but I can tell you this right now, taking drugs ain't gonna solve anything. That ain't even a way. If anything, that's cloud your logic. You know what I mean? You take, because when you take certain drugs and certain pain, you know, opioids and things like that, it makes you think you're invincible. I know I've been around plenty of people. I've been studying drugs. I know the effects that most drugs have on people. And you'll have the occasional person that's too masculine to agree when they're wrong about, no, I'll take cocaine. Okay, what has it done for you lately? What has cocaine done for you? Like, everybody I see off cocaine go goddamn crazy or do something stupid most of the time.
Or any other alternative substance to make it. Yeah.
That's not the way. But all you doing is suppressing the problem. Now you can become codependent on the drug, and when you're off the drug, you start acting crazy. You know what I mean? When you can't get that hit or you can't get it, now you're gonna do something stupid. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of drugs at play here with a lot of these emotional things that people are taking, and something that goes unnoticed with a lot of the transgender, because a lot of the time we look at things through rose-colored glasses. A lot of transgender people feel that they're not being heard, so a lot of them abuse drugs. A lot of them, you know, are suicidal with their thinking and like that. No more suicidal than any other person that has any type of, you know, emotional problems or anything like that. It's a lot of rhetoric out here that people say that it's more transgenders commit suicide than anybody and all that. It's about equal. People that create suicide, the root of the problem is they have something going on. It's a mental disconnect.
It's a mental disconnect. Anybody that's going through that's having some type of mental health issue normally leads that route. They normally go that route. So
I read in a study when I was brushing up that says in 2011, study in Sweden followed 324 people who had sex reassignment surgery from 1973 to 2003. It said the overall rate of death was higher than expected, with suicide being the leading cause.
Wow. That's heavy.
Said those who had the sex change surgery were almost 20 times more likely to take their own lives than the non-transgender population.
Wait. So this is what I don't understand. So it had to be something else at play there, because I thought you getting a transgender surgery was your personal choice. So you get to you do what ultimately makes you happy. You have the surgery, which all transgender obviously don't opt to have the surgery. And I'm not here to say if it's right or wrong. That's their lexicon. They can treat it however they want. But I'm trying to understand the psychology behind it. So are you saying, oh, they committed suicide because they were transgender, or did complications from the surgery make them commit suicide? I'm confused.
They didn't think about the complications from the surgery. They just said,
I think it's the acceptance.
Yeah, and maybe because of that, that's why I forgot which hospital it was, but they stopped doing the surgery because people were still having some problems.
Yeah, and I mean it's the same thing that goes on with in like today. It's just the acceptance. If people don't feel accepted by society or whatever, then that's normally like they go down that spiral.
A lot of transgender people I come across honestly depend, and maybe because it's more refined here in Chicago, because Chicago is one of the top LGBT cities in the country. But we have a whole community, they call it Boys Town on the north side, all that good stuff. I don't know if you have been here, but it's up there. So they seem to be some of the most confident people. Now they're vocal when they disagree with something. They'll, take the proper measures and things like that. And they also link up with Black Lives Matter here and all that stuff. So they do it usually the diplomatic way. You don't see them being overly violent and all that. People that want to break into stores and break in violence aren't LGBT. They aren't, transgender. Some of them might be part of that group. They're not overly, but they don't. You can't paint them as, these are transgender people. No, they're called fools. That's what they're called. Anybody that breaks into something and don't take the proper precautions is called a fool. Because you just put somebody out of business, a small business that had nothing to do with you being upset about. So, okay, and on top of that, you shot yourself in the foot, because where are you going to go for your general goods? Where are you going to go for your food? Now you got to travel all the way across town somewhere to get it. That's called a damn fool. That's what that's called. That's not transgender people. It's not Black Lives Matter. It's not, NRA members, even though some of those people from those groups are involved in that. But most people, honestly, they look at it as an opportunity. I'm going to break into some place because I want to do this anyway. That's called a damn fool. What that's called. So let's not.
I think like if somebody would actually would take the time and rationalize and really take step back 5 feet, kind of reevaluate the situation, I think we'd be all in a better place. But a lot of times now, everybody's just driven on emotion and just illogical rhetoric. But I think if everybody would take the time, step back, think about it, rationalize it, man, you would have like a hell of a different outcome.
Absolutely, but just to get back on what my original point was. The LGBT community here are some of the most confident people I've ever come across. They're expressive. They're happy to be where they are. That's why I don't understand where all these figures are coming from as far as suicide. Like, I think I'm going to have to do a case study on that and really look at some numbers, because a lot of the ones I see tend to be very extremely happy. It might be different in y'all cities, but here,
false sense of confidence.
False sense of confidence or whatever. Well, I mean, that's
the acceptance.
Yeah. Certain way don't mean that they're really happy. People wear masks every day.
That's true. To me, but I'm thinking I thought you were happy with the idea that you could have the transgender surgery. What will all of a sudden make you want to take your life if you happy the way you are? You know what I mean?
Because you weren't created to be that person.
Well,
that's
the people to choose. I don't know.
It could mess with your psychology. Once you try to change something, you messed up all kinds of things in your body.
Yep.
Well, it is different things. Let's take someone, for example. We talked about Fallon Fox a few times. Fallon Fox, and people can debate one way or the other if he did it to cheat sports and all that. To me, on the surface, it looks that way, but I have no proof to substantiate that. But this is the thing. Fallon Fox, the thing I don't understand with Bruce Jenner and Fallon Fox, it took you 30 to 60 years to figure out that you want to be a woman. Like, to me, that looks disingenuous. Like, why if this is who you are, and like Lady Gaga would say, I was born this way. Okay, so why don't you express that then? You know what I mean? Even if you want to keep it under wraps or whatever, and it took you 30 years or 60 years, all of a sudden, so are you making fun of the fact that you don't want to be? And this is why I see where women that are actually gay, and to them, they really want to be gay. I see where they take issue with a transgender person or transsexual person that's using this, for some type of gain or as like a guilty pleasure. You know what I mean? Like a transsexual. If you're going to be a person, let's say you a man that dress like a woman, you're a cross dresser and you use it just to have sex with men. Then next thing you know, you change your clothes, you go back to doing regular stuff. To me, if I was a transgender person, that's disrespectful to me. Like, bro, choose what you want to do and stick with it. Like, if you all of a sudden, let's take Puerto Rican people who a lot of the time, and not all of them, I grew up around Puerto Ricans. Here in Chicago, it's a community called Humboldt Park. A lot of Puerto Rican people. So, an issue I have with a lot of Latinos and Hispanics who tend to do this a lot, like they'll have like black tendencies and black relatives and all that grew up around black people. But when it comes to defending us on the issue, or an issue for a second, I think everybody there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that scared the hell out. I'm like, goddamn, right when we was getting some momentum. But yeah, yeah. So it's a lot of Hispanic people and a lot of Latino people who only act black on weekends, the way I like to call it. When it's time to party, oh man, I'm with my black friends. Or if they actually have, I'm speaking of Hispanic people that actually have African blood in one way or the other, or a black parent or something like that. When they act black when it's convenient for them, that pisses me off. And if anybody that do that, you're not welcome around me. You can get off the show right now if you're one of those people. I don't tolerate stuff like that. Be who you are. If you don't like us, cool. Don't be around us. But don't come around when it's convenient for you to. So I understand the argument and a lot of the problems that transgender people that are actually about the, what they're doing. They're true to their convictions. Then you got this misguided person that come along that all want to use this as a fad or as a temporary thing. And then, they use that to get government benefits. Now that's bullshit is what that is.
That is bullshit.
I don't tolerate stuff like that.
About the psychoanalysis.
Yeah, go ahead.
And why they do this type of. Remember the comedian Monique?
Yeah.
Okay, she was considered a big girl and always talking about how happy she was to be big and how she is such XYZ. Then she had the lost weight. She had surgery to lose weight. She lost the weight. And a lot of her fans were mad, but she said she was never happy inside of that body. It was always a facade. She would do that to cover up her emotions and stuff. And, so it was really a facade because she was never happy being big. That's why she had the surgery. That's why she lost weight to get small, because she was never happy. So she had to put on that air so, it'll make her feel better. But deep down that night, nobody knew, the feelings within. And a lot of I would say this is, I don't know if, I can't say right or wrong, but I believe that's why a lot do have psychological problems, because read through this study, it says after the surgery, it says more than likely a lot had in-house treatment for psychiatric conditions.
Okay, that's
yeah.
It's some of the peculiarness of the transgender community and some of the psychoanalysis, and then this was what Ben Shapiro taps into, that a lot of people, before they get angry at him, they don't sit here and listen to his full perspective. He never said transgender people don't have the right to call themselves transgender. He's saying people that are transgender that want to selectively use pronouns out of context is what he's not going to accept. That's what he said, which is a rational argument. All of a sudden, if you call yourself a damn, let's say Brian or Rav called himself a cat. Rav, I'm a dog. I'm not going to call you a goddamn dog or cat. I've known you as a human for the longest. What's that? What you say, OG?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. But I think overall, like the psychology of everyone in general, like we all face or encounter some type of depression in some shape or fashion. We all have like a tiny case of depression, whether it be financial, emotional, relationship, whatever. It's a depression. So I think that it's what I was saying earlier to Pink Petty was that a lot of overthinking and a lot of anxiety plays a factor why people that led to their demise. And it's just that, people, I think like there is some support groups out there, but I don't think everybody utilizes the resources that they have, especially with the internet nowadays. I think like not enough tools are being used to help them get along and adapt. You know what I mean?
Well, I think change is on the horizon because more and more politicians and celebrities are starting to sympathize and understand the perspective of the transgender. But I think one thing that'll help everybody if transgenders all come together, no matter which branch of transgender you are, and come up with a definition that we all can digest. With a standard, with an algorithm of how transgender people really want to be, but it has to be universal. It can't be, okay, well, I'm over here and I'm cisgender, Monday and Tuesday, and then the rest of the week I'm this or that. That's confusing. Yeah. Anybody that confused, you know what I mean? That's like if today I'm, African guy, then tomorrow I'm something else. That's confusing. Like you can't. It's too much to process. So you have to come up with a universal method and formula that we all can respect. Because it's not that we don't want to do it. It's just us as people that's so busy, that has so much going on, that has our own set of problems. We don't have time to sit here to have more complexities added to our life. And I think that's where the disconnect comes from. A lot of the disconnect, a lot of the fighting. Transgender issues is an extension of the political unrest that we have in this country, and why everybody have all these shootings and all this, everybody's flipping out. And I think at the source of it, it comes down to stress and so much uncertainty that's going on in the world right now. That's why everybody's snapped. But I'm looking at it like this: we're mad at the wrong people. We mad at the same people that's on the same boat as us. That's like all slaves. All of us are slaves, and we all connected on a boat. And I'm over here, I'm sitting there talking about, well, at least my change shinier than yours. That's fucking stupid. We're all slaves and locked up in the same area. You know what I mean? So we're, as people, transgenders, blacks, illegal immigrants, minorities, displaced white people that lost their jobs because of, like I said, fools breaking into stores and all this type of stuff. All of us are angry at the same. We need to be looking at our government and asking how we let this get this far to begin with. That's the question that needs to be asked right now. That's what it comes down to. It's not about tribalism and breaking things down individual. Hey, we all on the same team. We all gonna hold hands. That's something they're afraid of. That's why doing any slave rebellion, they always made sure they kept people divided. They always made sure, okay, emphasize that, okay, he Cherokee, you just that. Well, okay, y'all both Native Americans. These people came took over y'all shit. So what you gonna do to get it back? You know what I mean? You can sit here and talk about, he's different, he's this person, he's that person, he's from the other side of the lake, and I got to cross over the. Fuck all of that. What do y'all have in common?
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. So to bring it back to the transgender discussion, y'all need to come up with a concise understanding. So people like Ben Shapiro, a lot of this stuff for a very intelligent person like him that knows how to debate, that know how to break down arguments properly and pick out flaws in arguments. For you to be able to make a guy like that, if you think he's stupid or being closed-minded, you got to structure your argument properly. Nobody's going to take you serious. Even if you can prove that somebody shot you or you got displaced off your job because of racism, if you can't go in front of the judge and properly articulate that, you just out of luck. You know what I mean? You have to be able to bring to the table what you are, what's your issues, why people should address it, how they should address it. It should be simple. It shouldn't be, okay, this branch leads to that, this goes to that. That's where the problem comes in at. And all of us have pretty much, I think we're all on the same page here and agreeing that it's not that we don't want to accept y'all. Who can relate more to oppression than minority people, specifically African American? We understand and we want to help and accept it, but not at the expense of us giving up what we trying to have. Because I think a lot of the time, a lot of the transgender, I should say some, not a lot. Actually, a lot of them actually support a lot of black movements and things like that. But it's the bad apples in the transgender community that makes me paranoid. That makes me question if I even want to give an ear to what y'all doing. Because at times it seems like they want to prioritize their psychology of what they should be called over the struggle of other people that got legitimate struggle, like black men, like African Americans. Instead of coming together and saying, okay, we had the exact same problems y'all did, versus, oh no, I'm a transgender before I'm black. Are you really? Or were you born black that you became a transgender? Which one is it? Those are the issues and the questions that we need to be asking right now. But OG looked like he got some concerns on his face, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass to him real quick. I can see it in your face, man. Go ahead.
No, man, this is kind of interesting, man. I think we'll talk about children another day. We just saw an interesting fact that was talking about children.
Yeah, well, you could briefly go over. We can set an episode to the side in the future to discuss children, but you could briefly go over what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Here's a fact that I came across from the London Portman Clinic. It says when children who reported transgender feelings were tracked without medical or surgical treatment, 70 to 80% of them spontaneously lost their feelings. And it also said approximately 25% lost feelings. But the states of California, New Jersey, and Massachusetts have passed laws barring psychiatry, even with parental consent, from striving to restore natural gender feelings to a transgender minor.
Whoa. You just unpacked a lot there. Hold on. Hold on.
That was a lie, huh? So
That was a lot to unpack. So let's break that down. So, and I want to bring Raph and OG back in the conversation. This is something I'm sorry, Raph and Brian. This is something I was already aware of. I knew that it was concerted effort by me being a former educator myself. I used to be a math and science and social science teacher. So this was something that I was concerned of, and I was kind of aware of anyway. That right now the LGBT rhetoric and philosophy is being fused into the social science books, which social science is a mandatory class you have to take to even graduate. So has always been my viewpoint on it. First of all, I'm totally against it. But on the same token, I'm against heterosexual sex being taught to children. Children are not fully developed enough at the age of 8, 9, or 10 years old to even talk about sex either way of the spectrum, heterosexual or homosexual.
That should wait till middle school.
Really, to high school.
Well, yeah, but I mean, normally
it can be discussed in middle school.
Yeah, but it can be taught in middle school because I mean that's where the growth development hormones and all that. That's more. I think that's more reasonable than having to do it in elementary school, because elementary school, I mean, let's face it, they're still trying to decide whether you want the ninja pizza or you want the lasagna.
Right. You still focus on being a kid and develop, learning the chicken. That's too complex of an issue to teach a kid at that young age.
Yeah, but I mean, but nowadays, I mean, it's like I mentioned it before. Like HBO did a documentary of some small town. I can't remember where, but pretty much where they're doing hormone blockers to kids because you see a kid, like a young boy playing with dolls. They're like, oh well, I guess he wants to be a girl, so let's just let's help him be transition to a girl. And it's like, he's a fucking kid. What? Let kids be kids. Yeah. Like when they're worried about their sexual identity, wait till they're like mature enough, like in their later teens. But don't inflict like the kid was like, oh god, he was like 8 years old or something like that, and he got like hormone blockers.
Way too young.
They're kids, but yet the parents are like, well, if that's what he wants to do or that's how she wants to go, then I'm all for it. It's like they're kids. Let kids be kids.
Right.
They're not mature enough mentally, because you do this now, and later in the long run, next thing you know, they're gonna do something outrageous, and then the last
start questioning their existence at that point. Like what? What about well, OG? What were you trying to say? And then after this, I'm gonna bring Raph in. Raph ain't spoken about.
That is child neglect. That's child abuse. That is just crazy. Invite Pink Petty in for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's been for a while in the 2010s. It's been concerted ever. As I say, I think California was the first state to do it, where they mandated same-sex couples and things like that in social studies and literature books and things. New York did it as well. Apparently, you just said Jersey and Massachusetts as well. This is something that they're trying to normalize in the next 10 or 15 years. That's why you see a lot of these other groups coming out like NAMBLA and all these saying pretty soon the argument going to be, can I sleep with a boy? Can I sleep with a girl that's underage? That's what the argument is going to evolve into eventually, I think. And I'm not saying that
it's going on now.
We seem to be getting closer to
make normal that pedophilia is normal,
which I'll never agree to, ever. I'm willing to get on board transgender, but pedophilia, miss me with that. That's when a problem going to start. You might see me go out there acting crazy, something like that, which I'm tending to not even act crazy. But what say you, Raph? Coming to the conversation, comment on anything that you just heard that we said in the last few minutes.
Well, first off, my whole thing, you like you said, when it comes to pedophilia, I'm not down for that. I don't support that at all. As far as anything before that, I kind of dozed off and lost track. But
so what we were pretty much asking was, what do you think? Hold on, I'm kind of lost. Brad, what was the last thing we was on before we brought up that pedophilia point? OG,
we was on the transgender thing, right?
Yeah, we was on the kids in trans.
Yeah, kids learning.
Oh, do you support that going into the curriculum for kids?
No. Okay, so here's my thing with that. We've talked about this before. No kids should be learning anything about sex. No kids. Kids' minds aren't developed until they get in their later teens, in my opinion. Your mind don't fully develop till you get in your later teens. So for you to infuse stuff in books, which means you're adding new information.
Right.
I have a problem with that, period. Because most of the information they teach you in school and books is written by man.
Right.
It's theories that man came up with, and a lot of that stuff is false anyways. It don't help you in school, but when you add and stuff just to put it in there, just because you want to change the way the world is, that kind of pisses me off.
Yeah. Imagine all of it as a kid, Raph. Would you send your kid to a school like that?
No, I wouldn't. If I thought my kid was learning that at school, I would take him out of that school.
Yeah. Yep.
Indoctrination, yeah.
That's why I'm such an advocate for private education. I see the benefit of public. You know, they get to socialize with kids on their own similar social pedestal. But if you're going to teach stuff like this, this is why my goal is to start my own school. Because I believe in education being factual. You know, we ain't learning about no Christopher. First of all, Christopher Columbus is going to be mentioned in my book, but he going to be mentioned as one of the problems with this country. We not talking about no holiday. That man don't deserve no holiday. We already pushing it with Thanksgiving.
I mean,
now, no, that ain't. We gonna mention it because it's a part of history. We're not gonna omit it.
We celebrate a lot of evil for holidays.
Well, yeah. And I'm sure religious people can attest more to that because a lot of these holidays are pagan to them. But yeah, this is why I'm a supporter of private education, because you have a say so of what happens. Public school, you can't go again because it's publicly funded, so you can't. Really, you don't have much of a say-so of what's taught into the school. You can, but it takes some concerted effort. You got to meet with politicians. You got to meet with the city. Instead of doing all that, you might well just put money into your own type of school. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of effort in getting this change, getting that change, and it's too much. But a lot, yeah, I agree with Brian. Lots of homework needs to be done or whatever on this issue. And
Pink wants to join in a little bit.
Go ahead. Oh, like actually call in, join in?
Yeah, actually call in and join
in.
in.
Yeah, they want Pink's the top commenter. Yeah, they can call in.
Right.
Yeah. What'd you say, OG?
I said you have invite. They just can't come in.
Right. Oh, I told I'm on the school bus here. Hold on. Somebody just while I'm adding this, just let me know what the name is. Hold on. How the hell do it? Oh yeah. Let me know the name is Pink P or what was it?
Pink Petty.
That's an interesting name in itself. Petty. Yeah, I'm adding the person right now. Yeah. Let me know if you got the invite or if I need to invite you. I just sent it. And I added you as a director.
As soon as it pop up, all they gotta do is hit it.
Yeah. But so make sure you got your device or whatever near you, because it probably times out after a couple seconds anyway or whatever. But yeah, the nature versus nurture thing we're gonna focus on the next episode. This one I wanted to do a lot of opinion based or whatever. Since Pink Petty's calling in, we'll probably go up for maybe another 20 minutes or so before we cut it. But this has been a very engaging conversation. I just want to take a brief break real quick and say thank you. We got 97 people. We already doubled what we did this week. 97 current people. So I want to give everybody a round of applause for being open-minded. I'm sure a lot of those were retweets from other people. A lot of people that's come in here, I support their stuff too. Make sure you support Tawan St. Patrick on-site news cover, or I should say correspondent. He do a lot of good stuff over on his channel. Elsewhere, it's a lot of other people that I got to go back through the comments to see who they are, but I recognize a lot of these names that came up. Really appreciate the support, man. I knew he was going to do some good numbers. This right now, when we get demand like this, we got to do another episode. So next Thursday, today is Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Looking out for a third episode on this. We're going to go into the whole nature versus nurture thing. On this one, I just want to get a lot of opinion-based stuff about. Now, another thing I want to mention now that I just added additional time to the show, transvestite. So what the hell is a transvestite then?
I got the transvestite is a person who cross-dresses and they may or may not identify with the opposite gender. So it might just be a person crossing.
That is so. When you say may or may not, that right there, that tells you that the definition is confusing as hell.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I'll be right back.
Makato or Kato or whatever you said it was, but then got it. You put makeup and stuff on, so that was just another name for a transvestite. A transvestite is normally a man that cross dresses. They normally don't call women transvestites.
Right.
normally associated with a man cross-dressing as a woman, and then they were considered to be a transvestite. But then that transvestite may or may not be gay. Might just been a freaky old man who just
Like,
wanted.
isn't RuPaul considered a transvestite?
Yes.
Okay, because RuPaul's still a guy, right? Does he still identify as a man or anybody?
Yeah.
Raph, do you know?
I don't.
Okay, because I know he got the drag race.
But I think he has a partner though.
Yeah, he
Male?
does.
Male partner. So he's gay then.
Yeah, he's gay.
Okay, which we know what gay is. That's pretty self-explanatory. You know what I mean? Like, gay is cut and dry. Like, you know, okay, I'm gay. I like the same sex. We get that.
Right.
You know, but transgender, this is a hell of a trip right here, dude. This is almost like a drug trip, like hallucination type trip.
Purple
Just trying
haze.
to fully understand, like,
Purple haze, all in my brain. Lately, don't seem the same. Active.
yeah.
Why?
I want to take time to encourage anybody that has friends that want to jump in on this topic. We're going to allow a couple, maybe 2 or 3 call-ins. I'm gonna add another maybe 15 to 20 minutes to the show because we've been meaning to encourage call-ins, but we got so deep into this conversation. Retweet, I really appreciate it. Get everybody going. If we could break 200 by next week, I might start sending some gifts out. So keep that in mind. Retweet, invite. I'm gonna allow a few call-ins. We got 4 slots available, so I'll allow a couple call-ins. But for you to call in, you got to comment first. If you don't comment, I'm not going to step no random person calling in because you might be a troll, and I don't have time for that. Time is money. You ain't gonna waste all our time playing around. So, Brian, do you know is RuPaul? He's just considered a transvestite, right? He's not transgender, is he?
He's just a cross-dresser to me.
Okay, so a transvestite, basically.
Yeah.
Is that a politically correct term? Can we say transvestite?
Yeah, that's
cross-dressers. It's very rare to hear transvestite, but normally, like, the most common term for that is just cross-dressers. I mean, yeah, they're everywhere.
Since we talk about terminology, so let's talk about the word, and everybody brace themselves. We're using it within the proper context. Let's talk about the word fag. So fag is my understanding, and I'm gonna ask everybody: isn't fag like a British thing? That means like a flaming stick or something, right?
It's a cigarette.
A cigarette.
A fag is a cigarette in Europe, yeah.
So how did that relate to what we considered as a feminine men? What the hell did that come from?
Because you just said a flaming stick.
Hold on, OG. Hold on, man. Hold on, man. Time out. You just completely broke the whole series. Hold on, man. Hold on. I was trying to keep it serious. But still, what does a flaming stick got to do with a person, being feminine or something like that?
I guess in personality wise, like,
No?
I don't know. Yeah, because there's your flaming, eccentric.
Because I'm just thinking, like, who would have think? Oh, he's flaming. What is that? Okay, a fireman could be flaming. Does that make him a fag? Like, what does that even mean? I don't even understand. Now I can see if you called him like a booty hole or something like that, but what does that even mean? Yeah. And how from Britain to here, and then I couldn't, let's say I smoke cigarettes, I couldn't sit here after I know what I think fag mean, and it looked like Pink Petty is on here with us. Pink Petty, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, Pink?
Hi. Okay.
How you doing? Are you a woman? Okay. Okay.
The reason why y'all how when y'all were saying that let's go back for a second because I know y'all changed subjects. But the reason why a lot of this stuff has changed is because, like how you said, when you were growing up, boys couldn't play with certain genderfied toys. Well, now in today's society, it's not like that anymore. It's open. You can play with a toy. You can pick up certain things. You can do certain things. Well, okay, if you're saying back in the 90s when girls were having kids younger, well, they felt like sex education should have been brought into the school earlier. So that's why some of the problems that we're having in today's society was not the same way when some people were growing up, because that stuff was not introduced to you at certain ages.
Right.
True.
So are you saying you think children need to be educated on sex ed early, or what are you saying?
At a certain point, yes, I do. Not at a young age like 7 or 8. No, I
No.
don't.
Right.
But like
No.
middle school.
Maybe middle school, 13,
Yeah.
14, maybe even 12. Because if you look at, I know a girl and this was in the 90s. Okay. I know a girl before she even got to high school had already had 2 children.
Oh my, yeah, that happens quite a bit now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of
So now if you looking, you got kids who ain't even in the middle school and already have children.
Now that's sick right there.
Yeah.
If it's 11 and 12-year-old kids out here with kids, I'm questioning some parenting skills now.
But
happens.
that's what I'm saying. So if you looking at this, so like how when you were saying, say with the gender, with like what is his name? Bruce. Well, his name was Bruce, but how
Caitlyn
he
Jenner,
had that sex change. Well, back then it wasn't open for
normal.
people to just go out and do
It was
things like
taboo.
that. Right.
It was
It's
taboo if you did.
now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's open for you to be able to go and do these things. So they allow all this to happen. I'm not saying because it's introduced through media or people are doing it. Yeah, it was some people in the 70s and 80s who were doing it, but they really felt like I was born like this. I don't want to be like this. They changed their lifestyles. But when you got cases like how you said, where all these transgenders changed their lifestyle, they felt that's what they wanted to be, and that family just shut them off, and they don't have no acceptance. They lonely. They thought their lives would be so much better, and they're not.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely an issue that need to be addressed. Like, I'm not an advocate of families uh not wanting, not accepting people that's straight. If they want to be transgender, get them the support that they need. Now, you can have your disagreements, like, I want you to have a baby the normal way. You can have something like that you express to them, but to completely just shut them out, that's not healthy. I don't agree with that. You know what I mean?
But that's what's
Especially if they're gonna
happening.
kill themselves. Yeah.
But that's what's happening because say like how you said, oh and I'm not saying my son, I'm just using the example where they say, oh, my son gay. I ain't never doing nothing with him. I ain't never hanging with him. He can't come back to my house. Well, what about some transgender people who are doing this and they family just leave them alone? Friends leave them alone. You
Right.
thought life would have been better on the other side, and then it's not. You're lonely. You don't have nobody. You don't have nobody to talk to. When you going into say these grieving counseling places, and they'll say that the day gonna get better, but you've been dealing with this for 6 years.
Right.
It don't feel like the day gonna ever get better.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of if a lot of transgender people having problems, I think they need to really get some form of counseling. They need to seek out some counseling, even if it's somebody just at the church. If you got a pastor at the church, like OG was saying, he had you were telling me about the young lady. What was your connection with her again? Was she just somebody you went to church with, or
No, she was a co-worker.
she was a coworker, and she had, she confided in OG because it is certain, family members that don't come off as approachable. Like if you grew up in a house that was run like an iron fist, you got a dad, and a lot of us, we know people. We got people in our family. It might be a grandfather, an uncle, or a dad where he run the house with an iron fist, where you feel like you can't talk to him. I mean, don't go talk to somebody else. You know what I mean? And when they ask you about it, say, "Okay, dad, just be honest with him," or uncle or grandfather. I didn't feel comfortable talking. I wasn't trying to disrespect you, but you know how you are. So I went to talk to somebody else that I felt comfortable talking to.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be addressed like that,
And that's very true too. But then you got some situations like how y'all say with the school system, and I know where this happened. Okay, well, it was a transgender kid who came into the school system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to address this person about what sex they become.
Like
So
she,
say,
or if he's a he or something.
right,
Yeah.
right. So say at first they were a she, but now they're a he.
Confusing kids.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So say you're talking about like we're in 4th and 5th grade, but I've went to school with you since we were in preschool. You were
Yeah.
she all the time I knew you. Your parent say allow this, or your parent adapt to knowing that this is the best situation for my kid. This
Yeah.
happens over the summer, and then this kid comes back, and now instead of them she, they're he.
That's
Now,
heavy, man.
now
That's a
my
heavy
kid,
tip to put on the kid.
right now, my kid has to address you, and my kid is used to calling you she, but my kid needs to call you he. My kid gets called into the office for calling you she and gets disciplined because you're a he. But this ain't something that was taught to my kids for the whole year, knowing that
Right.
this is what's gonna happen to this kid. It might be some changes next year, letting people know it might be some changes in the school. This is thrown on the school in the middle of the summer, and the school just has to adapt. The school has to find bathrooms for this child. The school has to do certain things for this child. But what about all the other thousands of the kids in that school?
Exactly. That happened
Right.
in Virginia.
You said it
Where
happened in Virginia. Really?
yeah, it happened in York County, Virginia, where this young man wanted to, say that he to transgender part. I'm transgender. I want to use the girls' bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Now
So he,
that's when it becomes a problem for me.
yeah.
Like I don't
So
want my kids seeing a grown man in the girls. You know what I mean? Like no, man, that's
But
too
that's
heavy
what.
for me right
But
there.
but that's why I'm saying, because it didn't, and it happened in Virginia. But I live in Alabama, and I know a person who lived in Georgia, and this sex change went, or the person was transitioning over, started taking hormones. I believe the person was a girl and was trying to transition into a boy. The
Mhm.
girl grew up calling this girl a girl. They left for the 3 months of school break. This was this girls like Ace Boone Coon. They would talk, they would do stuff, even over summertime. Well, that summer they did not hang out because all these things were going on. The girl came back to school and called her a girl, and he wanted to be labeled a boy or he, and she got suspended for 3 days.
Now that's crazy, right? That to me, that'd be a lawsuit because unless I was told early on or I was informed of this prior to the school year starting back, that's a lawsuit. You're not gonna suspend my kid for something that they wasn't fully aware of. Like that's not gonna happen.
And
this,
then that's what I'm saying. Now you're talking about like how you stay in bathroom. You got to either make a special bathroom for this kid, or
yep.
you got to have
No,
this kid. If this
they want
kid
a
is
special bathroom.
right, but if this kid is a girl, now you got to have all the girls hurry up and come out the bathroom to be able to go into the bathroom by
Yeah.
themselves, and you, the teacher,
He didn't
have to
want that.
hold class up to let this happen. Or if this person is a girl wanting to claim to be a boy, now you got to let all the boys go into the bathroom, hold this up, and then let that person go into the bathroom.
He
It's
didn't
a
want that.
problem.
He
Go
sued.
ahead, OG.
He sued. He was like, "Look, they made a special. They like you can use the teacher's bathroom. No,
Right.
I want to use the girls' bathroom."
Yeah, that's when you need to go find yourself another school then. Because I would, if they told me I could use a teacher bathroom, that would have been in the conversation. I could use the teacher's bathroom. You know what I mean? See, this is where the complications and the problems come in at. I'm with all the transgender, I'm with labeling them properly and all that. But to me, the conversation stop on two things. When it comes to the baby thing, having a baby, that's a problem for me. And also when you have to sit here and say, I got to go in the same bathroom for the choice I choose. No, you need your own bathroom. And I'm cool. Like, I'm sure taxpayers, some of them going to gripe about it. But if it's something that we got to accept, I'm cool with it. But we got to do it right. Your own bathroom. Because now you walk into the territory where you confusing kids. Or you walk into the situation where it could be sexual assault. That's
Hey,
how far are we going to get as a country to accept some shit like that? No.
it
You
happened.
know?
To
Because
somebody.
I was thinking at one time too when they came about the whole bathroom situation. It's like, you know how you go to like a Walmart or any other Target, how you have like a men's restroom, women's restroom, and then you have like the family room.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't you just change the family room into the transgender bathroom, and then that way it would alleviate all the headache.
Right.
But apparently, like, well, then that's segregating.
Come on. Go ahead, Rap.
I just kind of was
Before I get
like,
upset,
all
go
right,
ahead,
I
Rap.
guess.
Then I'm gonna bring OG back. Then we're gonna close up soon. I want to thank Patty for her take or whatever, but we're gonna wrap it up in the next 3 to 4 minutes, and we'll be back tomorrow with are we doing one tomorrow? I'm not even sure. Al, by the way, real quick, I'm gonna be helping Brian with his new show. He's trying to really finalize what he wanted to be, but on Saturday, I believe what was the other day? I know Saturday. What's the other one, Brian?
We're like Friday and Sundays. I mean, it just be like a random open topic. So it'll be an open discussion. So pretty much it's
Yeah.
like I'll come up like, so pretty much I'm gonna come up with my notes and everything, and it probably in regards to what happened yesterday at the Capitol. So
Right.
it'll be an open discussion. Free, anybody want to put in their 2 cents, I welcome it.
And we also discussed that wine tasting, that the cigar and wine show we're gonna do, right?
Yeah, we could do that on Sunday. So so it pretty much with me, it'll be like a topic of what I might choose, and if I got nothing, I'll just say, hey, what's on your mind?
Right. Well, it'll be more of a kind of like social party type thing. I'm a producer. I'm not gonna be much of a personality on the show. I'll talk when he asks me to, but I'm gonna be doing most of the production. The sound, giving them time cues, doing research. I'm gonna be more of a producer on the show. I'll be on camera, but I'm not gonna say much or whatever because it's his show. It ain't my show. So, but I'll be on that. That's something y'all can look out for on Saturday. It'll be real late at night. So if y'all can get on that, cool. I think it'll be between like 12 and 2 in the morning, right? Somewhere around that, Brian.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So
maybe earlier, maybe earlier. Depending on how I'm feeling.
Okay, that'll work. So I'm just gonna help him produce. I'm gonna be the producer for him on that show. So so just to close off this topic over there, I just want Raph looked like he was about to say something based off what's been going on lately. Raph, what say you?
No, I was just gonna say about the bathroom part is that it becomes same thing Brian said, how it becomes a problem where you have 3 different bathrooms for 3 different types of
Gender choices. Yeah.
So, and some people get offended by that, like he said, by segregating. My question is, if you haven't got a fully exchange yet, what's the problem with you just going to the bathroom with what you have in your pants? What's the problem? Listen, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying, what's the problem with going to that bathroom? I mean, if that's gonna, if this is gonna help them go to the bathroom, maybe they should just stop calling it the boys and girls bathroom from now on in.
Now that's the whole okay.
I'm just saying.
That's a good point. I get what you said though, but this is what I'm afraid of. That it's gonna just spiral and get so complex out of just where you can't.
We're going way down the rabbit hole.
We're gonna have to do a part 3 on this, man.
I worked with, like I told you, I worked with trans and gays and lesbians at my job, and they were cool people. I've never had a problem with it. I always believe come as you are, be who you are, and nobody should judge you. But there comes a time where people get confused, and it's hard for people to understand why people are like that and why they do what they do. So when you tell somebody, for instance, like, oh, they got to go in a girl's bathroom because they identify as a woman, but they drop their pants. I'm just saying, how do you think a normal female is going to feel about that? The little girl would get scared. You got little girls coming in the bathroom.
I don't think that'd be like a full. I don't think that'd be a full exposure.
Well, I mean, like you see some hairy legs under the stall, it's probably a dude. You know what I mean? Like the just the idea of.
But then you got some girls that want to keep it all natural.
I think it's just too much of a problem, man. Like, just give them their own bathroom.
But isn't it exposure for little? What I'm saying is, you got underage girls walking in the bathroom, and what if they, see something they ain't supposed to see?
Right. That's what. It's too much of a problem.
You just can't say, "Well, I'm a female."
Like, how do you explain that to a kid? Like, and then now you got to think, okay, are you gonna let grown adults go in the bathroom or people of the same age group? It's too. You see how I'm saying?
It's
too much,
it's
dude.
Something we as people, as a world, as an entire world and universe, we have to come to and work it out.
And I think
they
we'll
have to figure out how to. Yeah.
OG still think like he look like he thinking about that flaming joke still. Why you just cheesed it to the camera, man? Go ahead.
If you in the bathroom with my grandma, if you're a man, you turn around and expose yourself, know you getting a beat down in your life. Bottom, you getting that Sister Abigail, you getting every move I can think of.
You gonna be, but OG, you can't do that, man. You can't. If it's legal, your choice is not to go in the bathroom at that point.
Okay,
that'd be considered a hate crime. You can't do that.
Then consider it what it is.
But wait, I'm not talking about a regular man coming in the back. Obviously, a regular guy can't come up in there. But I'm talking about if it's in law. We speaking in terms that we speaking hypothetically. If it's a law, you literally that's considered a hate crime. I don't want to see you go down like that, bro. That's a hate crime.
But
You can,
if somebody openly exposed
yeah,
themselves to
regular,
younger children, then that would be more of like a sex offense kind of crime.
Well, yeah, we're not talking. We're talking about in the bathroom where they legally
Yeah.
going.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's your conflict of interest. That's what I'm saying. Like have your own let them have their own bathroom. To me, I think that would alleviate all the headache.
regular,
But the person going in there don't know at the same time, and that's the scary part.
That's true, but if they're gonna be transgender, if they're gonna live that transgender lifestyle, they have to think of like, okay, this is what's probably gonna happen. This is probably what they're gonna get used to.
Lock the store.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think they should get fully. I just think they should, if they're gonna do that, you should have all your work done, and not just
Right.
Well,
Come prepared already.
Yeah.
Come prepared.
But who are we? You know, I mean, like I said, I love everybody, man.
Right.
And
Go ahead,
I hope I'm
OG.
not offending anybody. Also,
I think
Yeah, we're gonna close out with Pink Petty. Go ahead.
it's a little different in a woman's bathroom because I believe they have stalls and you can be
It's closed off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
It
the
smells nice.
So
Not all.
not
Oh,
all.
damn.
Not all. No.
Which is another problem. Like if you a guy or whatever, let's say you ain't had surgery yet, you would do so. You gonna pee sitting down now, like,
And that's what you have to do. But that's
Like-
why that's why I understand the gripes of some people on your panel. But now you have to, like how just say OG was saying, the exposing. Okay, we know that everybody know that it's happened, that some people have went in the men's bathroom and did creepy stuff.
Yep.
But now you talking about that same man who's not had pre-surgery is now going into the women's bathroom with little kids.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the problem. I ain't gonna.
No, it ain't that I get it's a stall. You sit down, you close up. It's not a urinal like y'all. It's stalls. It's 8, 9, 10 stalls.
Yeah.
But you're in that stall.
And it can be
Yeah.
because you could
That can be dangerous. And then okay, what about the ones who they're in the bathroom, so maybe they're touching up their makeup. But now my kid is used to seeing some females and they don't know if this is a female, if this is a male, they don't know what. And now I have to hush my child to be like, because I know my child is a vocal child, but now I'm in the bathroom fighting because this is a pre-person.
Right. Yeah.
Don't,
Yeah, y'all old school too, because you from that one, so y'all Southern folk don't sound like y'all like that type of stuff, which is fine.
I came from Chicago, so
you from Chicago? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I came from Chicago, and certain things were going on. And I came from I lived in Chicago over 30 years. I've been in Alabama a good while, but it's not always exposed like that. And the reason why they want them bathrooms and don't want to be segregated is because, unfortunately, I've seen some down here who fight for their license to be changed. They change their names, so they're not such and such anymore. Just like my name is Pink. My name is not going to be Pink anymore. It's going to be something different, classifying me as that male. So they feel like, okay, if on my license I say I'm a male, if on certain things it say that I'm a male, why shouldn't I be able to be allowed to go in that male's bathroom?
Yeah, but I think we all expressed on here how that just is not a good idea, and that it just they need their own bathroom, man. Because that's honestly that's the only major pushback you're gonna get from me. You're not gonna get no other pushback from me. You will get pushback on. I don't have children yet, and this is why I'm taking my time to have children, because this is stuff that needs to be fixed before I have a child, because you don't want to see me raging nowhere. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like, oh, gee, people gonna be getting wrestling moves and all type of stuff. Now I'm not gonna do that within the law. Like they legally can say they can come in this bathroom. At that point, I have a responsibility on whether I want my daughter to go in there or not. She just won't go in the bathroom. You know what I mean? I hope we don't get there. I hope they get their own bathroom. But if we do, you would know right now, my kid not going up in that bathroom.
But then that's hard, because let's just look. Say your kid is already in that bathroom.
Right. That's what I was saying.
And then they walk in.
Yeah.
You can't go in that bathroom. You're
I don't know.
now and your wife is not with you.
It's harder, and it's harder.
So what you gonna do?
Well,
And
yeah,
I'm not saying that person is doing nothing in the bathroom, but you know that was a man going in there.
right. It's a lot of questions you got to ask.
And now my kid is in there, and I
This
can't
is
get in
crazy.
that bathroom.
Now I hear you. I'm just gonna stay. I'm gonna stay.
Fact,
You know
I'm
what I mean?
stopping. Yo, dog. Can you wait till my baby get from out there? Oh, I
Right.
ain't
That's
wait.
the way you can do it too. That's the way you. But I don't know, OG. He might bring the mob on you. They might be getting you a doomsday device or something up in that bathroom.
Oh
Boy.
no, what I used to
Oh,
do,
that ain't happening.
even because I have sons, and I would know that some people would go in the bathroom. I would stand in the door because I knew I couldn't go in that bathroom. You need to come on and hurry up and use it. So,
Well,
like, say I'm standing there and a true man goes in that bathroom. I've seen some people be like, well, your son was in that bathroom playing in the water. I tried to hurry up and rush him on out of there.
Right.
But you got some people who are wondering why I'm standing in that doorway. But my child is in there and I can't go in that bathroom.
Right. I mean, I understand a mom standing in the door. If you got a little kid, you never know the type of stuff, all type of sexual assault and anything happening. So you got to be prepared. I get that part. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what I do? I send them to the family bathroom.
Well, that's the way to look
and
at it.
I understand that because now it's more family bathrooms. But you
Yeah.
got to think, I had a kid that's 23 years old. It wasn't a lot of family bathrooms for a while.
That's
true. That's more of a modern thing. Yeah. That's a modern.
Because they had like baby changing stations in both bathrooms. Because
So now you talk about he's 6 years old and he telling me I don't want to go in the women's bathroom anymore. I'm supposed to go in the men's bathroom.
Yeah.
But I'm only forced to stand on that outside. So like how you were saying, you have a daughter and she goes in the bathroom and you know this is a person
Well, you walk up in the men's bathroom, they won't mind.
Yeah, I feel like men a little more laid back with that. You know what I mean? Men a little more laid back with like a mom sitting there. I don't think any man that's sane, that's a normal man, not gonna have no problem with mom sitting in the door. He'll probably I'll wait for a minute, or he'll go to the stall all the way at the end or something.
Right. Or then
like
how you said, most of the men would be like, I'll go in there and make sure he's okay, and I'll tell you to come on because your mom's waiting for you outside.
Yeah, it's modern current times. Everybody's so like, and I think this is a problem that we have as a country where we overly accept it to people before we see what they're gonna really do. Like, I don't mind you having this alternative lifestyle, but let's look and sit down for a minute and see how it affects everybody, not just you. You're not the only person that's living on the planet. It affects everybody. You sitting here talking about you gave up your luxurious pass to use the teacher's bathroom. Because you being a brat, somebody want my own bath, man, get up out of here with that. I would have took that teacher's bathroom. You know how nice some teachers' bathrooms be? They probably got chargers and everything. You know what I mean?
I know, man. How many Newsweek, Time magazines I could read?
Yeah, you could chill out up in there. I would have took that.
Popular Mechanics. Shit.
And the problem is with people becoming overly privileged. A lot of it's over serving certain groups of people, and that's what a lot of the anger is coming from for other people because they looking at if you're an adult and you got a family, you live in a city like a large metropolis like me in Chicago, or you in Houston, Brian or Rav live just outside of Minneapolis, OG right outside of Austin. She lives in Alabama. We looking at
family in Alabama.
Oh, see, all of us got family in the South. So we looking at this as taxpayers saying, okay, how much is money I got to use for somebody personal choice? This is not something like water. We all need water. It's you that want to have a sex change. We got to pay for that. You got to pay for to get a sex change bathroom. People looking financially. You know how much work you got to do. Plumbing. You got to do. All types of shit.
I doubt it.
What you mean you doubt
it? You don't change the plumbing on the bathroom. I mean, it just works one way. It's
what these people are asking for, you might have to do that. You never know. They might say, "Oh, I need a tampon thing and infused up," and you never know.
That's fine. You could put a tampon dispenser in there. That's
you
fine.
get what I'm talking about, Brian.
But I'm just saying, but plumbing is like plumbing works the same way no matter what.
It does. Hey, I know. It does, but the way how demanding these people are, they probably will. Brian, did you not just hear?
Unless you want to add a bidet in it. Okay,
sure,
then all right, then fine. But teach their own.
They might want a podium up in there so they can talk about the latest LGBT. You never know. You know what I mean? You never know. These people ask for quite a bit, so you never know. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up.
But like I said, if it gets to the point where I gotta use 3 seashells to wipe my ass, then we got a problem.
Whatever that means. Yeah.
Watch Demolition Man.
You probably gonna P sitting down first before that happened, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. Another one, OG. I want to thank everybody for coming on here. We got to bring it to an end. I try to end it around the 2-hour mark. So thanks, Pink Petty. You invited to come on whenever and discuss any issues. Monday Night Wrath from Minnesota. OG. Just outside of Austin, Cal, Texas.
What's causing all this?
Brian in Houston. Thanks for everybody letting us know what to call and all this. I want to thank everybody. We got 107. We broke 107 views. We came from Periscope, so we not really used to all that. I got to give everybody a round of applause. Why I ain't playing on my thing? Yeah, round of applause. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming over here and hearing about our and listening to our perspectives and everything. All of us got different perspectives, but we tried to be neutral and keep it in the middle. All I can advise for y'all to do, please come up with something easy for us to call y'all, how y'all want us to be addressed, and consider getting a transgender bathroom. That just prevents you getting beat down and all other type of crazy stuff that comes with all this complexities in this very civil unrest time in the United States. Join us Sunday. We'll discuss. I might come on randomly tomorrow, but I'll let y'all know. It's a 50-50 chance, but my schedule starts on Sundays and ends on Fridays. So join us Sunday. We'll be discussing, I believe I said it for 5 o'clock this week, but I'll double check and let y'all know the racism in sports. Why is it not enough minority owners in sports? We will be discussing that Sunday. Sunday will be our sports week. Where I think next week we're doing the legacy of Kobe Bryant. So Sunday we'll be doing something sports related. So make sure you got some time set to the side, Mr. Washington team or whatever y'all call it now. OG, because I'm gonna need you. Brian, I'm gonna need you because I know you're a sports guy. Monday night, you always welcome to discuss whatever when you're not busy or whatever. For the Prodigy, I'm checking out here, y'all. Thank y'all. 107 views. If y'all like what we bring on this channel, make sure y'all hit that subscription button. It helps a lot. Make sure y'all spread the word of mouth. I'm not at the point where I can be funded yet, but it really helps when y'all fund us. Even if it's just $1, we get to talk about more controversy and have more open-mindedness. If y'all fund me, I don't need ads where they, censoring what I can say and all that. So make sure y'all check out OG. He got his brand, the Cream brand. He sent me a shirt that I'm wearing right now. He sent me a G Spice shirt. We'll be wearing that. Speaking of G Spice, Monday, the history of veganism. Why you should be a vegan, the benefits of being vegan. Me and OG gonna chop that up and talk about that on Monday. So if y'all interested, come check that out. Everybody, hey, to get that meat eating stuff up out of here. Don't be a caveman on LA. But yeah, really appreciate everybody. Everything. He's the freedom to get to a broadcast, discuss what we discuss. You can't get a full-time job and retire no more. It's not like when OG was little, where your parents have a high school diploma and graduate. Now you gotta, have all this different stuff. And the keys of freedom is to broadcast. You could be the best cook, the best cleaner, the best contractor, the best businessman. We won't know that if you don't get on here and talk about it. And we'll promote it for y'all on the show as long as y'all subscribe to the channel. But once again, for the Prodigy, for OG, for Pink Petty, for Rav, for Brian, this was a great discussion. Thank y'all. Until next time, another one, OG.
Thank you.
Another one.
Thank y'all. It's a good conversation, y'all.
Yeah.
Did I?
Wow, everybody bailed out quick.
Everybody just bailed out, but shooting me.
I know it's like yeah, we have the push show.
I'm still here. You gotta hey Brian, man, you gotta go on. You gotta
still here, right? Hold on, y'all. Wait for the sound to go out. Hold on, wait for the
all right,
the intro to go. Y'all been great. Thank y'all. Bless everybody.
All right, bless everybody, man.